So the room I'm sitting in right now is gonna get really warm during this episode. So I'm gonna keep my windows open. And outside there are a bunch of birds tweeting. Damn, I hate Twitter. Hey guys, it's your boy, Bo the Doggo. And welcome back to Adastra, episode 9. Episode 9. This episode I think we are going to the beach. I think that's what we decided. Why is my tongue like that? Last episode we was a bit shorter than the one before, but we talked to Amicus and asked him some questions about what Alex told us about how the wolf culture or the wolf people treat their children, and Amicus told us that he wants to change that. I should also bring my microphone closer. That was a thing I did in the last episode where I had the microphone too far away from my mouth, making the audio really bad. So I'm sorry about that. Better audio in this episode, I hope. Also, before we start, I think this episode will be the longest one so far, and I think we will keep them about this length, and we won't end up with 70 episodes. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say, so let's get back into the game. Let's go. The next day, Amicus wakes me up by gently shaking my shoulder. Hey, Bo, wake up. I roll over my sofa, groggily pulling the blanket up around me as I shiver. Ugh, it's so cold in here. Oh, you can turn the heat up if you like. It's just that I tend to sweat a little when it's too warm. Could just give me a better blanket. Of course. I'm in just my underwear. My Romanesque underwear. Last night, Amicus had showed me, a bit awkwardly, how to tie it on. While it's comfortable, it always feels a little loose, and there's a constant worry that I'm just going to drop it at some point. Anyways, we should get going soon. Alex is probably already waiting for us. Right, Alex was joining us, yeah! I rubbed the sleep from my eyes, drawing the blanket around myself a bit more tightly. For what? We're going to the island for picnic. You wanted to do something, didn't you? Oh yeah, right. I get up and grab my robe off the back of the sofa. Don't bother with the shower today since we'll be swimming. Or, well, I will anyway. Amicus moves to the bathroom and pulls out a large glass bottle filled with a clear liquid. He pours it into a glass cup and notices me watching. Oh, would you like to try some? I suppose the species cares about dental hygiene, considering that your teeth look alright. What is it? A wash that simply cleans your teeth, and it keeps the breath from becoming offensively odorous. He holds out the cap, and I take it from him just as he pours the liquid right into his mouth. I sniff it, and though I expected a minty smell, it's floral instead. Is this all you use to clean your teeth? Amicus swishes the liquid around his mouth for a while, then spits it into the sink. It removes any surface level debris, but you should get a deeper cleaning from a drone at least once a week. I can show you that later too if you'd like. That kinda sounds terrifying. Maybe? Honestly, you're supposed to use it every morning, but I forgot it yesterday in all the excitement that we had. I lift the liquid-filled cap to my mouth, and with a little hesitation, I pour it in. The taste reminds me of walking into a room that's just been sprayed with an air freshener. Not exactly pleasant, but when I spit it into the sink, I notice bits of what I assume to be plaque floating around the drain, and my mouth does feel a lot more fresh. I guess it works. Amicus feels impatient though, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Ready, Bo? Yeah, sure. Do you have any bathing suits or something? Like clothes for swimming? Amicus steps out of the room and into the main hallway as I follow him. At the same time, I finish tying on my robe, trying to make sure that everything is correctly in place. No, we swim nude, but if you do prepare to have something, you could use your undergarment. I can't imagine it will be comfortable, but Alex does it. And just as he says the cat's name, I see him stand in the hall, carrying a heavy-looking basket in both arms. Whoa, Alex, let's go! Once he sees us, he smiles. Oh, Alex. Oh. Hello, Amicus. Hello, Bo. It's good to see you again. How are you this morning? I'm about to respond, but Amicus is already speaking. Good. You got all the food, Alex? Yeah, but though, are you sure that it's not against protocol that I took all this? Well, it would be if I didn't approve it. Now let's go. Alex and I follow the excited wolf's swishing tail as we head towards the front archway. An area that I haven't seen before. Ahem. I hear a familiar grunt, and we all stop and turn around. Kato stands there watching us, stoic as always.
Where might the three of you be off to?
Hello, Kato. We're going for a swim.
A swim?
You can't exactly tell what's going on behind the visor, but the tone in his voice doesn't seem all that enthusiastic. Amicus seems to sense it too. Yes. A moment of silence goes by.
You know you have combat training today, Amicus.
Well, yes, but only for part of the day. We'll be back shortly after noon. Kato's face twitches, and I can sense the disapproval coming off of him in waves. Then he turns his head slightly in my direction.
Are you taking the pets?
I quickly fix my face in a middle-distant stare. Yes, I thought we could all use a little fresh air. Kato goes on staring for a moment, and I start to believe what Amicus said about Kato not having a good mood. Finally, the old wolf turns his attention back to Amicus.
Well, I have some of my own duties to take care of this morning, but I expect you to be in the amphitheater by the 11th hour. Do not be late.
And with that, he turns and stalks off to the hall before disappearing around the marble corner. Amicus lets out a breath. Oh, I thought he was going to cancel our outing altogether. Alright, let's go before anyone else tries to stop us. Amicus quickly turns towards the archway again and leads out the warm morning air. You seem very eager, Amicus. Well, I haven't been swimming for weeks now, and I need a good exercise. As we walk, I notice Alex huffing and puffing, struggling with the basket, so I hold out my hand. Here, do you need help? Oh, I don't want to inconvenience you. I reach out to take the hand off the basket, and Alex doesn't resist as I pull it out of his paws. It's heavy, but not impossible to carry. I heft it in both my hands as we walk down the path towards the lake. I thought they were gonna hold it like together, so each one have one handle each. Oh well. Are you sure it's not too heavy? I'm fine. Though I think that someone else might be able to handle it better than us, especially since I imagine it's mostly his food. Amicus' ears perks at my pointed statement. Oh, is it heavy? Amicus turns and yanks the basket from me, easily swinging it in one paw. I should have said something. Though I'll have to get back once we get to the shore, because I will be swimming to the island. I frown. Is it far? Well, of course you will be taking the sights here. What is that? Alex moves up to walk alongside me. You see, it's sort of a hovercraft for sightseeing, as the name implies. After a few minutes, we reach the shore where there's a small gazebo with various bows underneath it. There's also what looks like some sort of jet ski, and next to that is just what looks like a glass box with an open top. And this is what Alex and Amicus were talking about, the wolf leaning over to drop the picnic basket inside. And once he does that, he strips off his underwear and tosses it into the glass craft as well. I look away and notice Alex doing the same, his ears down as he blushes furiously. Trying to ignore the wolf, I walk up to the strange little craft, noticing that there's an open space on the other side of the box that allows us to get in. The floor is glass as well, and I can see the dirt and vegetation underneath us. Race you to the island! Amicus cheerfully waves at us before running into the lake, the wolf's bushy tail whooshing around over his naked butt. So inappropriate! Alex shakes his head and turns to the slanted glass panel attached to the side of the craft. He touches it, and several bright characters comes to life on the screen. A few seconds later, our little glass craft levitates off the ground and starts to move over the water, albeit at a very slow pace. Whoa, what is this thing? A sightseeing craft. Parental tech, so it's very safe and easy to navigate. I watch as we slowly start to float over the slightly choppy water, Amicus already about 10 meters out in front of us. He's a pretty good swimmer. We're just slow. That's why he turned this into a race, because he knows that we won't be able to beat him, even if we're going at full speed. And sure enough, Amicus starts to widen the gap. I notice Alex's ears twitching about as he navigates our craft, looking left and right while avoiding looking at the water altogether. Ah, is he afraid of water? Do you not like swimming? Oh, I hate large bodies of water. It's a bit stressful coming out here, honestly, but the island is serene, and for the most part, it makes the trip worth it. Ah, feelings are kind of like that on Earth, my planet, too. I cringe inwardly at almost revealing the name of my planet. It was pretty blatant, but Alex goes on like he didn't even notice. Well, yes, similar origins and all, but honestly, I'm a bit surprised that you're doing so well yourself. Or that you even decided to come out here. That does come off a little strange to me, but I'm distracted watching Amicus get closer to the island. Maybe only about 50 meters now. I start to get an idea though. Judging by the distance between us, Amicus and the island, I feel like I might be able to beat him. I grin, and then start stripping off my robe. What are you doing? We're not on the island yet! Alex blushes furiously again, looking away. I'm gonna beat him. What? I grab the other edge of the glass barrier and swing my legs over it. No! Alex actually tries to lunge for me, his paws just barely missing as I plunge into the lake. I don't have much time to think about why, because I'm instantly surrounded by freezing cold water. Is there something dangerous in the water, maybe? I come up gasping from the shock of it, before I spot the direction of the island and start swimming towards it. It's been a while since I really had a chance to swim. I've always been pretty good at it though, and soon enough I get into the familiar motion of putting one arm ahead of the other while turning my head to take breaths. And while this is going on, I can still hear Alex shouting behind me. But then, just as I'm feeling that I'm about to gain on Amicus, I get ran by something heavy and furry that suddenly starts to pull me into its grasps. What is this? Is it a water wolf? At first, I wonder if I'd be captured by some kind of Adastra sea monster. And maybe that's why Alex was freaking out. But just as I'm about to resign myself to that fate... Whoa, don't worry, I got you! I stop fighting against the big furry arms wrapping around me as I feel Amicus kicking his leg under mine, sort of pulling me towards the island that is just a few dozen meters away now. Aw, Amicus, did you think I was drowning? What are you doing? I try to pull away, but Amicus keeps me in a fierce death grip, refusing to loosen up at all. By Galen! I look up and I see Alexius dumping out the basket full of food into the sides here before throwing the basket at me. Use this! It will keep you above water! It hits me in the face before gently bobbing away from the waves. What the hell is going on? I try to pull away from Amicus one last time, but give up, leaning into his chest with a bewildered expression on my face. He kicks his feet awkwardly under mine before I finally feel our feet drag into the shifting sand under the water. Even then, Amicus doesn't let me go. He keeps his firm grip around my waist as he pulls me to shore, bringing us onto the little island. Are you alright? Amicus pulls his paw on my shoulders, his wide eyes looking into mine, breathing heavily. Yeah, what the hell just happened? I rub my nose where the basket hit me in the face, and that's when Alex's little craft pushes gently onto the sand. He hops out, running up to us. I didn't know what happened, Amicus! He just jumped out! I'm sorry, I couldn't stop him! Alex bows deeply, ears flat and trembling. I start to wonder if maybe there's something in the water that I wasn't supposed to come in contact with. I look at my skin, but everything seems fine. I finally look up at Amicus, try to ignore his dick as he swings around between his legs. Amicus seems to notice at the same time and covers his crotch with his paw, keeping the other one on my shoulder. Can you just explain to me what happened? Amicus frowns at me. Well, you can't swim. You're hopeless in water. That's why I wanted you in the craft. What? Why would you think so? Alex's lips trembles a bit, as if about to cry. Aw, Alex, don't worry. You're not born with natural swimming abilities. Whenever a primate falls into water, they're almost sure to drown. Are you sure you're okay? I'm so sorry. The way that they explained to me how primates work reminds me that they still might not consider me to be on the same intelligence level as them. It's like if I don't know my own species' capabilities, that I just jumped in because I'm a stupid barbarian. It irritates me, but both of them looks almost traumatized. Especially Amicus. Oh, you big goof. The paw not concealing his crotch is firmly locked on my shoulder, as if worried I'm going to run into the water again. Guys, I can swim. I mean, yeah, it's not natural for us, but we've learned. I've known to swim since I was a kid. They stare back at me, as if not understanding.
Really?
Well, yeah. Do you think I just jumped out of the thing just to drown myself? Amicus lets go of his shoulder to cover his dick with both paws now.
I don't know. I know you're unhappy here, so I wasn't sure.
I laugh. I'm not that unhappy. I'm fine, and you know it. I'm not an idiot. I thought you knew this by now, Amicus. Things got quiet then. Alex looking off to the side with his ears down, and Amicus standing awkwardly and covering his crotch with his both paws. So did I ruin our outing?
No. I just need to remember that you're not a typical child. Now, let's try to relax and have some fun. It's the whole reason that we came here after all.
Alex still looks a bit dejected, looking off towards the sightseer. I ruined our food. I'm sorry. Alex bows again. I remember how Alex isn't really supposed to know about my intelligence, or anything about me really. But if he's bothered by the conversation that just took place, he's not showing it.
Amicus shrugs. Stop bowing. It makes me feel strange.
The naked wolf assembles over to the craft, and as he leans over to look at the cluttered mess inside, he lifts his tail, and we get a view of his butt again. Alex looks away blushing, but at this point, I think I've given up on not trying to see the various naked parts of this wolf. Being in the nude seems pretty natural to him, even if he tries to hide it from us.
I think we can salvage a decent meal out of this, and the wine's good.
Amicus lifts out a large wine bottle in the air, still not turning around. I'll sort through it, Amicus. Please enjoy your swimming exercise in the meantime. Alex quickly moves over to start gathering up the food, head down.
Well, alright. And ears up, Alex. We're here to have fun.
Alex puts his ears up, but doesn't lift his head to look at us.
Oh, right.
The wolf grins at me, dipping his muzzle down at his crotch.
The cats are just like you when it comes to this sort of thing. Anyway, I'll get into the water so you won't have to keep averting your eyes. You should join me now that we know that you can swim, Bo.
I start to follow, and then look back at the cat. Do you need help, Alex? Yes, he does. Help him. Alex shakes his head quickly, and I can see that he's still blushing. Go on and swim, Bo. I'll just be sunbathing instead. I'll just be sunbathing anyway. There isn't much room in the size here for two people, and Amicus seems to be waiting for me, so I follow the wolf towards the water.
Intelligent conversation and a swimming partner. I have a pet that can do it all.
Amicus shoulders me as we walk along the beach, making me stumble.
Hey!
I say it warningly, even though I know he's joking. You know, I have to wonder why you take me out here if you didn't think that I could swim.
Everyone enjoys the beach, whether they can swim or not.
The sand becomes too hot as I walk along the beach, so I have to log the last 10 meters or so to the wet sand, sighing as the waves cruise my burning feet. Amicus catches up.
Too hot? I suppose I should remember that you were a bit more fragile than the other species.
Fragile?
Well, a bit. I mean, when we fought on the ship, I had to hold back a lot.
I give Amicus a shove, the wolf stumbling more than he probably would have if he wasn't covering his junk.
Whoa, hey!
And with that, I wade out into the shallows, the water quickly coming up to my shoulders. I stick to the shore, treading water as I watch Amicus splash around, doing some sort of lunging swim that reminds me of butterfly strokes, just a lot more clumsy. After a few minutes, he swims up next to me.
You doing alright? I'm still unsure of you being out in the water.
Hey, don't start. I know what I'm doing.
Alright. But even experienced swimmers can have accidents, so let me know if you need help or anything.
Amicus stands right in front of me, his fur plasters tightly against his chest. I will. The wolf shields his eyes from the sun with a paw as he looks around.
Anyways, do you want to have a race around the island? We can stay in the shallows. I actually used to do this with cats all the time as a pup.
I look around the small island, deciding that the distance is short enough that I can manage it. Alright, sure. I also have, just to point out in the middle of this, the music. I love the music. The music is fantastic so far. I love it.
But be warned, I won't go easy on you just because you're a primate.
I swim past Amicus.
Go! Way!
I hear the wolf splash noisily behind me as it tries to catch up. I do fairly well on the first half of our race, managing to get around to the backside of the island without the wolf catching up to me. I notice that this part of the island is covered in dense trees and vegetation with no beach to speak of. And it's at this point that Amicus overtakes me with his big lunging strokes, breathing hard each time he comes up. I realize how hard he's trying, and I wonder if he's actually afraid of losing. It's clear that there's a competitive edge to him, and I guess that makes sense if he's so determined to beat Cassius to the throne. As I come around to the final bend, I fall further behind, quickly losing stamina as the muscles burn in my arms and legs. Amicus seems to notice and slows down a bit towards the end, allowing me to catch up some before he reaches the same spot we started at. For a moment, we both just gasp for breath in the shallows, though Amicus grins. I win! I roll my eyes and wait until I can breathe evenly again. Whatever. You got way more muscles than I do. That isn't really an advantage. Amicus still breathes heavily, and I wonder how much effort he actually put into beating me. Besides, I've got this old fur weighing me down, and you don't. You know, competitive swimmers actually shave down their fur near to the skin. That makes me wonder what a shaved wolf would look like. Guess I just have bad stamina. Actually, you did a lot better than I thought you would. Had me worried the first few minutes. What do you call that swimming style? I don't know. I think it's just called freestyle. Amicus moves closer, his breathing finally under control. Could you teach me? To swim? It looks like you already got it down. I mean, your style of swimming. You beat me, didn't you? What would you want to learn my style? I say that, but I think I know what Amicus is getting at. He has a very clumsy way of swimming, sort of like he's fighting the water himself. Amicus harums, blowing some drops of water from his nose. It looked effective, and I would like to try it if you're willing to show me. I smile. Alright. And for the next hour, I show the wolf how to swim freestyle. At the beginning, it kind of feels like I'm teaching a toddler how to swim. The first few tries end up with him thrashing around in the water like he's about to drown, showering me with lake water until I have to reach out and grab him to make him stop. I decide to start with arms first, standing in the shallows and showing how to put one arm ahead of the other in a sort of a rhythm. Again, I have to stand close to the naked wolf, grabbing his big furry arms and showing how to move them. Honestly though, I don't think he minds. I don't any of you two minds you doing so. Once he has sat down, he quickly learns how to add his feet to the mix, and pretty soon he swims back and forth, picking up speed to the point that I had no hope of keeping up with him. I realized then that Amicus is a very fast learner. This is so much better! Do you know of any other styles? Amicus paddles happy around me. Well, I guess back floating, but not really. I'm not a professional swimmer. Amicus stands, water running down his furry body. Want to race again? He grins at me. I laugh. No, I'm exhausted after teaching all of that. Oh, don't be such a pup. Or are you afraid of losing again? Amicus winks to lighten his words. I think of flicking him on the nose like he's a misbehaving dog, but I resist the urge. I would, like... No, but I'm tired and I'm hungry, and if I stay any longer, I'm probably gonna get the sunburn. Reminding Amicus that there's food on the beach seems to change his mind, and he follows me into the shallows. Oh, that's right, you have no fur. Sometimes I get burned around my nose as I stay out long. Are you alright? I feel Amicus rub a paw on my shoulder and I shiver. Well, we'll know by tonight, but I feel alright. As we trudge onto the beach, I see Alex curl up on a blanket, his fur bright and shiny under the sun. Judging by the place around him, he's already eaten. Amicus chuckles. Such a feline. Anyways, you better keep your eyes off me. I want to further dry before I put my undergarment on, so I'm going to stop covering up for you. Automatically, my eye starts to wander towards the wolf before snapping back to look straight ahead again. But then I start to think, I'm going to be here for a while, as far as I know. Maybe I should get used to this whole nudity thing now. I mean, you are going to have to wash him sooner or later, so... When in Rome, don't look. Let's look. When in Rome, okay. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And if it's a normal thing for the wolves, why not get used to it? So I look. Okay, I didn't think it was actually okay. Oh no. Oh well. Here I present to you Amicus in his full glory. Amicus grunts in surprise when he sees me not bothering to avoid looking his way. Human! Amicus paws snaps to cover his crush again. I smirk. What? I might as well get used to it if it's normal around here. Though I gotta say, you're acting like it isn't. Amicus pauses, then pulls his paws away from his crotch, his face flushed. You surprised me as all. Anyway. Amicus was stiffly up the beach, past the sleeping Alex, while I tried to keep up. It's kind of satisfying to see how embarrassed he is, considering how much he's been teasing me about it. And honestly, now that I've seen it, it's really not a big deal at all. I'm not sure if that's the words I would use, but sure. The wolves cock and balls just like humans. Okay, yeah. Sure, maybe with a little more fur on the balls and a darker shade on the cock, but still similar. We reach the sightseer, and I see that Alex has laid out the food in a neat little line of plates. Though some of the patrons look a bit squashed, everything seems to have survived the emergency dumping that they suffered. Amicus grabs a few large plates of quiches and what looks like fruit pastries. Meanwhile, I grab a folded blanket, the bottle of wine for Amicus, and a smaller bottle of the vegetable tasting juice that I had yesterday for myself. We make our ways over to the shade of the trees before I roll out the blanket, and Amicus starts to tie his underwear back on. Finally, he sits down with a huff before reaching out for the wine. You sure you don't want any? He asks before guzzling some of it down. I mean, maybe at dinner or something, but I'd rather not get buzzed right now. Oh, really? I had to drink quite a bit more in this bottle to become inebriated. Well, my patrons know from our Patreon hangouts that it doesn't take more than a bottle of wine for me to get fucked. Figuratively speaking, of course. Don't get any dirty ideas now. I guess that explains how we can drink so much out of every meal. Well, you are a lot bigger. Anyway, this stuff is great. I easily pull out the cork of my own bottle before drinking down the ice-cold juice. Amicus pulls a face. Ugh, weirdy. That stuff tastes awful. Wine is so much better. Amicus immediately goes for the fruit pastries, shoving two in his mouth at the same time. Maybe you just prefer sweeter things. And slow down. Don't you take time to enjoy your food? Amicus frowns at me with his mouth full. I do enjoy it. That's why I eat it fast. I smile and go after one of the quiches instead. We eat in silence for a few minutes. Then I remember what Kato had said earlier. So when do you need to be at that thing Kato was talking about? At the 11th hour. Combat practice? We got at least an hour yet. And what does that involve? Oh, just striking and grapples. I'm just glad that Cass isn't here to join us. I hate sparring with him. Rude. Really? You told me last night that he can't even compete with you. That's exactly why. He has a condition where his bones are less dense than what is normal, which makes him easy to break. And because of this, I am more of a training dummy for him than anything. Basically, he just uses it as an excuse to punch me in the stomach. There isn't much I can do to retaliate that I won't seriously injure him, so I prefer training with Kato. Didn't you tell Cassius that you punched him yesterday? Amicus laughs. I did, didn't I? Well, that's why he was so offended, but now he knows not to bother you. I've learned to be gentle with him since we were pups, but my limits can only be pushed so far, especially now that I have you. You said you used to get along with him when you were pups? Yes, but I think that had more to do with him admiring me when we were younger. He just looked up to me, which was preferable to how he is now. What happened? Amicus shrugs. We grew older, and then Mother died, and he was very close to her. They shared a lot in common, including their disease. Amicus pokes around in the pastries before picking up one that looks to be filled with the red fruit. Then I suppose we've always been different philosophically, which would be fine if you weren't trying to take the throne from me. So if you are next in the line for the throne, how could Cassius just challenge you for it? Is that how it's supposed to work? No, not really, but Kato is the one who decides to do things this way, which he can because he is the acting emperor. Cassius has been building a following amongst the wolves for the past several years.
I thought he was simply trying to solidify his chance of becoming my advisor, but his speeches and writings were so different from my father's. I didn't even realize that he was cultivating a certain persona for the emperorship eventually, but I never thought that Kato would buy into it just because of Cassio's popularity. But he did, and here we are.
Amicus chews away a worrying large fly that lands near the plate.
I thought I had more time anyway. A lot more time, but father's passing was sudden, so I'm left with what I have now.
So what happened to him? If you don't mind me asking.
To father, his ship crashed while landing on Adastra City about 5 months ago. It's a rare thing to happen, but it does happen.
I'm sorry.
Well, he's with the parents now, so I'll see him again. But he should have had so much more time left. Just like mother.
How old was he?
157.
I blink. But you see, their years are probably not the same as yours, since the days are this different. He was 157?
Yes.
Years?
Yes?
Amicus looks at me, confused. How long do you people live?
It varies, obviously, but about 250 to 300 years.
Wow.
How long do your people live?
Amicus looks slightly apprehensive. I don't know, 80? 100 if we're lucky?
Oh.
Amicus' ears fall.
That's so short.
Compared to you guys, yeah.
Wait, how old are you?
20? How old are you? Amicus is still frowning.
23?
He's so small! That gives me some pause. Trying to work out how much that will be in a human lifespan.
I don't know, how much is that? Like 7 years old or something?
Wait, so you are an adult, or... Amicus seems to recover.
Well, adulthood varies among species and culture, obviously. But legal adulthood is 20, so yeah, I'm considered an adult.
Huh, that's about the same as humans.
But the difference is that you die a lot sooner.
That concerned look again. I shrug. Or is it like the lingua thingy translates that he said how many years that is on Adastra and it translates to how many years that is on Earth? Is that what happened? I've grown up with that idea. It's not all that shocking to me. Amicus seems to be thinking.
Well, maybe we can do something about it. I don't like the idea of you being through a fourth of your life when you only just reached adulthood.
I frown. Well, what are you gonna do about it?
We aren't able to live so long naturally. We take supplements and medication to slow our aging process. Maybe we could consider some for you.
It's an interesting thought, but I don't like the idea of being a guinea pig for wolfish medication. Maybe, but let's figure out this whole emperor thing first.
Alright.
Amicus picks at his claws for a while, and it looks like he wants to say something, but he doesn't, and just stays quiet. Finally, just as I'm about to ask what's wrong, he looks over at the sleeping Alex.
I'll be right back.
And with that, the wolf suddenly gets up and jogs over to the cat. I can't help but feel that the conversation was left unfinished, but then I see Amicus get down on his paws and knees, as if sneaking up on Alex. I frown and watches as the wolf gets closer, his paws reaching out for Alex's earring? I guess the wolf wasn't being very quiet, because Alex suddenly rolls over and squealing as the wolf leaps at him. Amicus, no, this is the best one, don't mess it up! I sigh and get up, a little reluctant to leave the shade as I make my way over to the pair. Alex has rolled over into a little ball, clutching at his ear as he tries to hide grapes. Don't you dare! Do you want to tear my ear off?
I'm being gentle. If you just try to stop fighting it, it will make this easier.
No! Another jump. Alexis tries to roll away, then spots me. Bo, help! I sigh and watch for a bit before deciding to save the poor cat. I look for an opening, then pounce on Amicus' back, wrapping my arms around his neck and my legs around his waist, trying to throw him off balance.
Ho, not so fragile now, are we?
Amicus swings me back and forth as if trying to throw me off, but not really putting any effort into it. Meanwhile, Alex is scrabbling out from under the wolf before turning and giving him a shove.
Oh!
Amicus throws his tropple backwards, and for a moment, I think that I'm about to get crushed between the 300-pound wolf and the sand, but Amicus turns as we fall, and we end up lying sideways on the beach.
Alex is just standing there. Alex stands there on the side, quickly dusting himself off before adjusting his earring, frowning. You know, I might as well just stop wearing this thing. There is no point if half of it is plucked by the end of the day. Amicus just lays there and laughs. His laugh is infectious, and I laugh too. But they're so good, Alex! Maybe you should just start wearing inedible berries instead. Alex huffs as he looks down his nose at us. It's a cultural staple of my people, and honestly, what you are doing is red disrespectful, especially as a prospective emperor. Amicus waves his paws dismissively, laying flat on his back next to me, his arms flopping over my head. Oh, you're a friend. Obviously, I wouldn't do this to an actual ambassador.
I am an actual ambassador, Amicus!
Yes, but the friend ambassador.
Alex sighs. Anyways, thank you, Bo. You should obey your masters, yes, but it's also important to keep your masters in check when he oversteps his bounds.
Hey, don't encourage insubordination, Alex.
Amicus' big paw resting above my head comes down to ruffle my hair. I realize for the first time since I was abducted, I'm at ease. Happy even. Then Alex looks at the sky. Amicus? What time is it?
Amicus suddenly sits up, also looking towards the sun. I don't know. Is it close to the 11th hour?
I was asleep, so I'm not sure. Addae's come, but we're outside of his boundaries.
Amicus sits for a moment, and then sighs. Well, I suppose we should be off, just in case.
We gather up the food and blankets.
Don't you guys have portable clocks or something? Well, we do, but usually I can just ask Com.
The wolf taps his ear.
But like Alex said, his signal does not reach the island.
Amicus is starting to look a little nervous, so we pick up the pace and start packing ourselves into the sightseer. A bit more crowded now with Amicus inside. When we're halfway to the shore, Amicus asks for time and then groans.
Damn it, 11:30 hour.
Okay, we're gonna take a break here. If you're watching, if you feel like this episode is getting too long, here's where you can take a break. I'm gonna take a break from this recording, but this will still be a one big video. But I'm going a little break here. If you want to take a break as well to go pee, go to get something to eat, to get some more popcorn, or if you wanna continue this episode tomorrow. But yeah, let's go on to the next recording. Okay, few hours later for me, few seconds later for you. Hope you got your popcorn, you got your pee break, you got everything settled down. Maybe you're watching this another day or something. Either how you were ever deciding to watch this, let's continue. The amphitheater is small compared to the massive one I see in Rome. It might only be able to fit a few hundred people at most. Though Alex tells me that there's a really big one in the city center. He sits down next to me on the bottom bench with the stairs between us as we watch Amicus stand alone in the center of the pit. He has his paw on his hip, looking around, waiting.
Well, I don't think he's here.
Clearly.
So, do you want to be my sparring partner for the day, Alex?
No! Alex stretches up, one paw going up to cover his earrings, while Amicus just laughs. I look around, not seeing the old wolf anywhere. Are you gonna get in trouble, Amicus? Amicus shrugs, leaning one way and then the other in a sort of stretch.
Probably, but Cult is always upset. He'll probably just make me train an extra hour tomorrow or something. Besides, I got most of my exercises in the lake.
Amicus suddenly does a handstand, his feet poking straight up in the air, and I'm amazed how he's able to keep a perfect balance. Alex quickly looks away as the hanging clothes of the wolf's undergarments falls upward, even if everything is still covered. Well, mostly. I can see that the lighter colored fur that covers his front also covers his inner thighs. Then Amicus falls backwards, keeping his paws on the ground while his feet lands with a thump, the wolf's back arched, making a bridge. It's kind of impressive to see such a thick muscular body be so limber. And that's when I notice that Amicus is looking directly at me from his upside down position, watching me, watching him. I quickly look away blushing, realizing that the wolf is just showing off. Amicus pushes off his paws, smoothly standing up straight.
Well, I suppose we can go back to the palace, since I'd need a party to do the rest of my training. Unless...
Amicus glances at me.
Bo, would you like to assist me?
I freeze up for a moment, still feeling a bit awkward at being caught staring at his body. I know I can say no, but Alex is here, and I don't want to come off as a belligerent pet in front of him. We're still sort of pretending after all, even though Alex probably thinks that something is off about me.
Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. It would probably be the other way around.
Alright. I get up and stand awkwardly in front of the half-naked wolf, glad that I'm at least in my robes now.
So, do your people have combat sports?
Yeah. Actually, there are a few where your people uplifted. Wrestling and something else where they just basically beat each other up. I can't remember the name of it though. It's boxing. Amicus smiles.
That sounds similar enough. This is called Pugno. It mostly involves punching, kicking and grappling. The only rules are no claws, no teeth, and no going for the eyes. Or groin.
Amicus smirks at me.
And while sparring, we avoid striking above the neck, so go ahead and throw some punches at me.
Amicus grins and hunches down, his paws out. I look over at Alex who watches us, a bit disapproving look in his face. Amicus notices.
Don't mind Alex, his people are too soft for this sport.
Excuse me? We invented the grapple you use. We just grew out of it. Amicus seems to ignore the cat, circling me.
Come on, don't hold back. Mostly I just want to train my reflexes.
I try to shake off my timidness and move forward, throwing an awkward punch at Amicus' chest. The wolf easily slapped it away.
I hope you can do better than that, Bo.
I blush and put a little more effort into a quick punch at the wolf's side, which he dodges with a jump to the right. I follow him and jab at his stomach, which he blocks with an elbow.
Oh, come on! You can hit harder than that!
We're going for a while longer until we finally stop, huffing. Amicus comes up from his crouch.
What's wrong? Tired already?
I shake my head. Honestly, I just don't like throwing punches at you. It feels kind of wrong. Alex perks up. See? Bo understands.
Amicus rolls his eyes. You're both soft. There's nothing wrong with sanctioned combat. In fact, I'd say it creates more civilized, oomph.
I take the opportunity to jab Amicus in the side, making the wolf grunt. Amicus turns to me with widened eyes. Oops? Amicus frowns while Alex laughs.
I'll show you, oops.
Amicus smirks as he ducks in, grabbing my arm and easily pinning them behind my back. Hey! Amicus smirks as he ducks in, grabbing my arms and easily pinning them behind my back. Hey! Amicus growls playfully into my ear. Ooh, Amicus.
Ha! Now it's your turn to train.
He leans heavily against me, using his weight to his advantage. It's clear that I have no chance of getting out of hold, but I try anyway, struggling and complaining.
Amicus!
I jump, and so does Amicus, the wolf immediately letting me go. The sudden lack of support almost causes me to faceplant before Amicus catches me and sets me back on my feet. I turn around and see Kato. Despite the volume and the fury in his voice just moments earlier, he appears almost calm. Amicus and I stand there for a moment, breathing heavily, and then Amicus bows.
Good morning, Kato.
I quickly follow suit, bowing low. There's a moment of silence as Kato regards us both.
Afternoon, you mean? You're late.
My apologies. I lost track of time at the lake.
Your pet didn't remind you? Is that not one of his duties?
Kato's gate snaps in my direction, and I almost jump. I don't know what to do, so I go back to bowing, wondering if I should apologize.
I have not taught him our hours yet, Kato. It's my fault.
Kato watches for a moment longer, and then begins unfastening his robe.
Luckily, my appointment with Praetor has been cancelled, so despite your tardiness, we may train.
Kato tosses his robe aside.
Move, pet.
I stand there like an idiot for a moment before realizing that he's talking to me. I hurry over to sit down next to Alex, and I can tell by his expression on his face that he's also a bit worried.
I see that you're already warmed up.
Kato glances over at me again before turning back to Amicus, getting into a crouch. Amicus stands awkwardly for a moment before doing the same.
Yes. Did you need to...
I did mine while waiting for you over an hour ago, Amicus.
Oh.
The two big wolves start circling each other. I want to ask Alex if this is normal, but something tells me that I shouldn't speak out of turn in the presence of Kato.
Your brother had a very successful speech in the city today. Over 500,000 attended.
Amicus seemed thrown off by what Kato said, but then Kato's fist snaps out and smacks Amicus right on the nose.
Oh!
The wolf stumbles back, blinking and snorting as he holds his face. I wince. Didn't Amicus just tell me that he don't go for the face during training? I look over at Alex questioningly,
but the cat now looks firmly at the ground between his feet, his ears down.
That's double his last speak, Amicus, and it rivals your father's early day as emperor.
Amicus has recovered at this point, and he got his paw back up, his teeth bared. He doesn't respond and starts circling Kato again, and this time he attacks first, throwing an elbow at Kato's face. Kato ducks it and moves to the side, smacking a fist into Amicus' back, right over the kidney. Ah! Amicus let out a painful grunt, bending sideways and stumbling before forcing himself back into position, his teeth showing now.
And while you were being a pup by the lake, Cassius were touring the countryside, and even that drew thousands.
Kato throws a sudden kick at Amicus' thighs, and I look away, but I still hear the painful thwack of furry flesh on furry flesh. This isn't training, this is punishment. I think almost that Kato probably wants Amicus to be the next emperor, but he also wants to be fair, like he wants to choose the one that is the most deserving of being, and right now it seems to be Cassius to be the more deserving of being the emperor, but I think that Kato actually want Amicus to be the emperor, and that's why he's going so hard on him, because he wants him to step his game up so he can beat Cassius. But that's what I think.
Stealing a ship and flying across the galaxy will only get you so far, Amicus. You win the people over, not me. Ugh!
Amicus bull rushes the old wolf, grabbing one of Kato's legs by the thigh, lifting it off the ground while he starts throwing vicious punches into the older wolf's face. Kato seems to become dazed, stumbling on his one foot, raising his paw to protect himself. I silently root for Amicus, wanting to see him put the old man on his ass. But then Kato's paw comes around in a vicious slap that turns Amicus' head to the right. He drops Kato's leg, and that's when the old wolf wraps his arm around Amicus' waist, setting his shoulder on the wolf's stomach before actually lifting him up off the ground. I don't know exactly how much Amicus weighs, but it's probably around the same as Kato himself, and somehow the old wolf is able to carry Amicus across the pit in a rush. Alex and I dive out of the way as Kato crushes Amicus into the stairs with a thudding crunch. I look back and see Amicus folded around Kato's shoulder, making it sound like a deflating tire as his eyes bulge. After a moment, Kato finally pulls back. Amicus curls up and rolls down a few steps to the pit of the amphitheater, making a horrible groaning sound. Kato meanwhile straightens out his undergarment before turning to pick his robes up.
Good spar, Amicus. I hope you learned something from it. I announce to the public that the trials will begin at the end of this month. Remember that your pet will be involved, so be sure that he is prepared.
What? Kato ties his robe as he walks away, then suddenly turns as if forgetting something, addressing the still-wheezing Amicus.
Oh, and your sister and her guest arrived today. She requested to see you in the Great Hall as soon as our session ended.
Ooh. And with that, Kato walks off, his robes billowing in the wind. I rush to Amicus' side. Amicus, are you okay? I know the wolves are tougher than humans, but if I've been slammed into stairs like that, there'd be a good chance that I'll never get back up. I set a hand to Amicus' back as he hugs at his middle and presses his face against the stone floor. He keeps making a strained grunting sound, and I can see a strand of drool connected from his lips to the ground. Alex stands next to us, nervously fidgeting with his robe. Amicus? Amicus surprises me by roughly pushing my hand away. I just lost my wind. Give me a moment. Amicus turns away from me, then rolls onto his back, his paws above his head. His breathing is irregular, but at least he is breathing now. Alex clears his throat. Amicus, do you need medical attention? Amicus takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly. No, Alex. All right. Then I should probably take my leave. I don't know when Cassius will return. Alex, looking extremely uncomfortable, bows to the both of us. Amicus, Bo, thank you for the outing. It was very relaxing. He then quickly makes his exit down the stone path, disappearing through the trees. I stand awkwardly off to the side, waiting for Amicus to recover.
Some ambassador friend he is.
He opens one eye, looking at me.
You know, you can head back to the palace as well.
I just want to make sure that you're okay.
I'm fine.
I mean, he hit you really hard. I'm a little worried.
Don't be.
Go back to my room. Amicus' usually cheerful mood has completely dissipated. Well, if I'm pretending to be your pet, I guess I'll just pretend to be worried, alright? Amicus grunts and finally gets onto his feet, wincing as he does. He straightens out his undergarment, which has twisted off to the side, before walking towards the same path Alex had taken. I quickly catch up, following a few steps behind the wolf. Amicus is hunched over, walking with a light limp. I feel a wave of anger for Kato. He'd been nice to me yesterday, but now I realize that it isn't typical for him. I understood the lesson he was teaching Amicus in the amphitheater, but I don't understand why he had to involve violence. Is this how wolves normally treated each other? Fake civility with bursts of savage aggression? Was what Kato did normal? What do you mean? I mean, does he usually just beat you up like that? Amicus sighs deeply.
Not usually, no.
No, it seemed a bit much.
Oh, can we not speak of this? I'm not in the mood.
I go quiet and see Amicus' ears fall flat for a bit, before coming back up. We walk the rest of the way to the palace in silence. I'm sure to stay a few steps behind Amicus, wanted to give him space. I get the feeling that while he's definitely upset about what happened, he's mostly just embarrassed that I saw it. We finally reach the main entrance to the palace, and just as we turn into the Great Hall... Amicus! A high sing-song voice echoes around the marble walls as a slight wolfish figure quickly approaches us. Ah, the sister, how should we do your voice? I'm not good with female voices. Okay, we'll give it a try. A wolf that I can only imagine is Virginia walks up to Amicus. She places both paws on his shoulders and leans in, pressing the side of her face to his.
Hi, Virginia.
Virginia pulls back, rolling her eyes. Amicus, I took your place on a trip around the moon for a full week, and your only response is hi?
Sorry, I'm not feeling that well.
Oh, was Kato rough with you during training? Shall I have a word with him?
No, I'm just sore.
Maybe you should shower too. You smell dreadful.
We were swimming in the lake. Never mind. I should get back to my room.
Enough with the dark mood, Amicus. Not until we introduce our guests to each other. Virginia looks at me over Amicus' shoulder. Amicus sighs, and then reaches out his paw to me. I walk over to him, letting the wolf place his paw on my shoulder.
This is Bo. He's an abandoned child.
Oh, fascinating. I thought Cass was pulling my tail in this letter. Virginia stretches out the paw. I stand there awkwardly, unsure of what to do, so I reach out and take her paw with my hand. And then, after another pause, I lean down and brush my lips on her fur like I've seen people do in movies. Interesting. It seems that they have some sort of etiquette. I step back, keeping my head down.
A bit, yes. Now, where's Akimian?
Manners, Amicus. He's examining the murals. She turns to her right, raising her voice a bit. Neferu, would you come over and meet my brother, please? There's a moment of silence, then footsteps. Hello there. Oh, wait. Doesn't he look a lot like Anubis? Wait. Chemias are the most powerful siblings in the galaxy, right? And this one looks like Anubis. Let me do a little game theory here, but what if they have some kind of Egyptian culture and they were visiting Earth, like, let's say 3,000 years before the wolves were there, and uplifted the human, and that's why we have the Egyptian culture, and then the wolves went there and started uplifting the Romans, but realized that maybe they had already been uplifting the same creature, and that's why they got into war, because they were uplifting the same species, and they got into war with each other and just left. Oh my god! Is that what happened? That would be pretty cool if I get that right. But yeah, wow. Keep that in my mind bank. A Canaan appears around the corner. His fur much darker than the wolves, almost pitch black. He's covered in gold highlights, and immediately I'm struck of how he looks. And just not because his presence is impressive, it definitely is, but mostly because he reminds me of something on Earth. Not just something, but an entire thing. A culture. Oh my god. Oh, he's so handsome. Hello. Why do you look at me like that? As I stare, I realize that he's not looking at Amicus, but at me. I quickly look down again, not wanting to draw attention to myself. Nefero, this is my brother Amicus. Nefero bows his head slightly in Amicus' direction. Hello, and thank you for letting me take up residence in your palace. It's indeed beautiful. It's hard to describe, but I immediately know that Nefero is speaking a different language than the wolves. It has a different feel in my brain, like a different dialect. Certainly. You may excuse my appearance. I was just out combat training. Oh, I see. Must have been a rough session by the looks of it. Nefero gives Amicus a cool smile, and Amicus can only manage a grunt in response, self-consciously running a paw over his head fur. And that's when Nefero turns his cool blue gaze on me. And who might you be? I open my mouth to answer, and then catch myself and quickly look back down. This is Bo, my pet. He's an abandoned child. Amicus says it quickly, putting his paw on my shoulder again, while gently pulling me in the direction of his room. It was wonderful meeting you, but now I must be off for my shower. Nefero offers his paw to me. I pause again, but Amicus just stares at Nefero, so I take it and do the same as I did with Virginia. Nefero lets out a soft chuckle as I let go of his paw. What a fascinating creature. Do you speak? I make sure to give a long pause, and then... Little? I see. Nefero keeps his eyes fixed on me, and I have to wonder why the hell he's taking such an interest. Amicus draws me closer to his side with a paw before starting to walk in the direction of the hall. If you excuse us, I'll need my pet's assistance in the showers. Pleasure meeting you. Virginia, who had been silent throughout, smiles. Don't worry, Nefero. We just caught my brother in a bad mood. Usually, he's much more friendly. I can hear you, Virginia. I'm still here. So you're? And yet you said you had to be off. We shall speak more in depth in the evening. Perhaps when you stop sulking. Amicus grunts non-committally and pulls me along towards the bedroom. As we arrive at Amicus' room, there's a cart of flatbread, vegetables, and a bowl of sauce sitting outside the room. I've come to realize that there are two main meals of the day, breakfast and dinner, with a sort of midday snack in between. Amicus grabs the cart and shoves it into the room towards the sofa, almost rattling the content to the floor. Then, without a word, he heads straight to the shower, leaving me to sit on the couch while I frown at the door. At first, I think about calling him out on his bad mood when he comes out. Maybe go on about how I didn't ask to be here and him being an ass only makes it worse. Man, my man, you gotta chill. You gotta take a step back and look at the situation. Jesus Christ. But then I start to realize that maybe I wouldn't be so happy myself if I got my ass kicked in front of my friends. I spent the next 15 minutes or so spreading the orange-colored sauce on the flatbread before sprinkling the vegetables on top and rolling it into a wrap. It's good, and the sauce is one of the first spicy things that I experienced on this moon. Then Amicus comes out, looking particularly fluffy. I'm about to ask if he wants to get brushed, but he just falls back onto his bed with a groan. You alright? Never better. Amicus. That's so sweet as well, like, oh, you wanna get brushed? Because I have the brush here, and he's like, aww. A few of the chopped peppers falls out of my wrap into the sofa, and I quickly pick them back up and set them on the cart. This is actually really good. I was starting to worry that you guys didn't have food with actual flavor here. You know the country where you guys uplifted? Italy? It's known for its food. Actually, before you, took me, I had this trip planned to the Naples, which is a few hours outside of Rome, just to try the pizza. Do you have pizza here? Amicus gazes at me with a frown. I wonder if he understood a single thing I said. No. Oh, well, it's sort of like this if we kept it flat and we baked it. Anyways, do you want some? I hold up my wrap with a smile. Amicus glares. I just had my guts squashed flat into that flatbread, and you're assuming that I still have an appetite? I quickly lower it. Oh, yeah, sorry. Amicus goes on, staring at the ceiling while I nibble on the food, though I'm not really that hungry anymore. Then Amicus sighs deeply, covering his face with his paws. Bo, I'm sorry. I've just been thinking a lot is all. About? Amicus shakes his head, continuing to rub his brow. Well, how sore I am for one. I look over at the wolf, and then remember what he said last night, about the massage. I think about it for a moment. Amicus has been trying to make me as comfortable as possible throughout the few days I've been here, minus the sofa. I kinda feel like I owe it to him. You want a massage? This is so cute, I can't, this is so sweet! Oh, I see Amicus freeze up, his face still covered with his paws until he finally lowers them, his expression almost comical. What? I feel myself turning red. I asked if you want a massage? I thought you didn't want to. Well, I never really gave you an answer, did I? Amicus narrows his eyes. I don't want to force you into something you don't want to do. Well, I'm offering, but if you don't want it... I start to sit back down. Amicus' ears fall flat. No, please do! I try to hide my smile as I get back up and approach the bed. I just want him to sleep on the bed as well this night. It would be so sweet. Amicus just sort of watches me, half sitting up. Once I get to the edge of the bed, I pause. So what do I do? Amicus rolls over to his front. Well, honestly, I don't really know how it's supposed to be done, but you can start with some light rubbing. Oh, there will be some light rubbing, Amicus. Whew, trust me. Whew. Cautiously, I get up onto the bed on my knees, trying not to get tangled up in my robe as I scoot closer. Tentatively, I reach out to touch the wolf's back. Amicus inhales gently, his back rising against my fingers. Then slowly I start the massage, starting on his thick neck before slowly rubbing my way down. I don't know a first thing about massaging, so I just do what feels natural, and Amicus seems to like it. When I reach his mid-back, he grunts. A little more gentle there, got scraped on the stairs. I pause, then tease through the fur a bit and find a small fresh scab right on Amicus' spine. I pet the fur back down before moving past, working my thumbs into the muscles on either side of the wolf's spine. Karo's an asshole. Amicus lets out a choked cough of surprise. Whoa! Don't say that! He's the acting emperor! Well, he is. If you must say it, at least please keep your voice down. I swear, Cassius sometimes has his ears pressed to my door. Amicus moans as I start on his neck again and press harder than I had last time, really sinking into the muscles. The wolf's body melts into the bed, and I grin with satisfaction as I keep up the pressure down the rest of his back. It would be easier if I were straddling him, but I don't know how I feel about doing that just yet. What's straddling? Okay, so it's when you sit over someone and you do the What is... Okay, that's enough of googling for today. I don't think that was what he was referring to. Oh my god. Amicus is quiet for a few moments while I work. Then he sighs. He was right though. I still act like a pup. I need to be more serious. I frown. What do you mean? Kato has every right to beat me. I haven't been acting very much like an emperor lately. I shake my head. That was what I was referring to before as well. First of all, no one should be beaten. And second, Cassius also acts just like a child. Or a pup. I mean, you might sometimes act a little immature, but he's a brat. You're fine if he's the one you're competing with. Besides, you're a lot of fun to be around. If I were a wolf, I would think that it's pretty cool to have an emperor as nice and fun as you are. Oh, really? Then I suppose things are different here. I forgot myself at the lake today, and when Kato caught me teasing you... Amicus presses his face against the pillow, cringing. Can't you have fun as a prospective emperor? Not really. Cassius hasn't been out in the lake for years. Sometimes I think there's something wrong with me, but I still enjoy such things. I think, trying to decide whether my opinion is worth anything on this alien moon. Well, I don't think so. People our age on Earth do way dumber things to have fun, and it's considered normal. Even when you get older, you're expected to do things that you enjoy. Otherwise, what's the point of life? We're only here for a moment before we die, and that's it. I can't help but feel like my argument is a bit amateurish. Amicus doesn't seem convinced either.
Well, first of all, the point of my life is to lead my people to a better future. Secondly, we become one with the parents when we die.
I frown. Become one? What? Do they absorb your soul or something? I stifle my chuckle when I see that Amicus is still very serious.
No, well, I don't know, but our consciousness joins theirs and we go on to spread throughout the universe together.
Huh? Is there proof of this? Did they say that's what happens?
Of course.
I think of questioning him further, but right now I'm not really in the mood of debating anything religious with this wolf. His mind seems to be on the having fun issue anyway. Well, I will say that Roman emperors on Earth had a lot of fun. I laugh. There was one emperor named Elagabalus who didn't really give a shit about what people thought of him, and he had all the fun and sex he wanted.
Oh!
Amicus sounds amused. And then I wince, remembering that no one really liked Elagabalus, and he was killed along with his male lover, and then his beheaded body was dragged through the streets of Rome.
Ugh.
Well, I think balance is a good thing to have in life. Be serious when you need, and have fun when you can. Amicus just grunts again, and I go on rubbing for a while longer.
Oh, so when I was in my studies, I had some time in the library to myself. I found this primate species in the general vicinity of your star. They were a part of a failed uplift, and looked generally similar to you. A lot hairier, but I don't think anyone will notice. The name they had for themselves isn't pronounceable by us, but we named them the Semanians. So if anyone asks what you are, tell them you're that.
Oh, okay. I repeat the word in my head, trying to memorize it.
Also, I would recommend avoiding that Chemian. I didn't like the looks of him.
But I kind of enjoyed the looks of him.
Why not? I don't know, but his demeanor was rather rude. I've heard that they are an arrogant people, but to see it in person...
I almost laugh at the hypocrisy of that statement. I'd point it out if Amicus wasn't being so grumpy right now.
And the way he looked at you didn't sit well with me, so just be sure you watch out for him.
I didn't really see much a difference between Neferu and the wolves aside from appearance, but Amicus seems genuinely concerned. Alright. Amicus grunts in response, and I go on rubbing a little while longer. Then Amicus rolls over. I pause. Amicus suddenly opens his eyes, as if realizing what he's doing.
Oh,
Do your front too?
Well, often after getting my massage, my drones rubs me. It helps me fall asleep from my afternoon naps.
Rubs you where? Amicus' ears turn bright red. Is it his belly?
My belly.
Yay! Belly rubs, let's go! I laugh.
Don't laugh! You're the one who wanted to know!
I hesitate, and then almost automatically, my hand reaches out and starts to rub. Amicus is tense at first, then starts to relax, the blush in his ears rescending. You're such a canine.
I am a canine.
Aww, sleepy Amicus. The fur, fluffy and disheveled from the shower, smooths down against the wolf's thick stomach, his belly rising and falling against my hand. In his relaxed state, his stomach is soft under the fur, and I press down a bit more firmly to really rub at it. Amicus grunts and winces a bit. Too hard?
Just sore, but keep going.
It feels good. As I continue to rub, his eyes close and his muscles part slightly. So, the trial starts soon. At the end of this month, I guess?
Yes.
And I'm involved in it somehow? Wanna talk about it later? Now that I think about it, I'm getting a bit nervous. But Amicus doesn't seem to be worried, and that puts me at ease. At least a little bit. And that's when I noticed the particular bulging in Amicus' undergarment, the one that I noticed when I brushed him yesterday. Whoa! I'm not surprised this time though. If brushing had done it to him, rubbing definitely would too. So I ignore it, and so does Amicus. Or maybe he's just asleep. I realize just how much I've accepted my life here, rubbing this prospective Emperor Wolf's belly, even though I know he's making him hard. But I also realize that I don't really mind it. It's only been a few days, but there's something about this wolf. I don't know, I just like him. Amicus starts to snore, and I slowly stop rubbing, watching his chest rise and fall with his steady breaths. I think about going back over to the sofa, but instead I just roll over to Amicus' left, curling up on my side of the soft pillow. With the relaxing sound of Amicus' gentle snore behind me, I drift off into a light sleep. That is so cute, I'm gonna die. And that's where it ends. That's where we end the episode. Let's go. Okay, so this episode is probably over an hour. It seems that a lot of you enjoyed having these long kind of episodes, but it feels safer to cut it into at least 2 parts of the same episode. And it's also easier for me to record, but then still in editing just put it in one file and do it as one video with a little break in between. But yeah, I know I was crushing hard on Alex last episode, but yeah, I understand that Alex is not one of the main characters, so Alex is not gonna get that much time. But Amicus is so cute, I can't even, and I really want to see this relationship between the main character and Amicus develop. It's not that much that I feel like I am the main character and this is me, but I just love seeing the relationship build between these two. That is so cute, I can't even. Also, Neferu, he seems interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and let me know in the comments what you thought about this length of the video. And yeah, please keep spoilers away from the comments, and I will be very happy. Next episode will probably also be this length, so yeah, they're gonna be a few days until the next episode is released. That's the price we will pay for having longer episodes and also longer pauses between the episodes. So as long as you're okay with that, I'm okay with doing this way. But yeah, I love you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, take care, and remember that you are loved and appreciated, and that you should be proud of who you are, because I want to see you in the next episode. Bye! Oh fuck! My camera fell again. Hello.